Mexico just went off by Decoy Voice. And this is the situation, because apparently people in Mexico have been wilding out about the immigration stuff.
Immigration protests have begun in Mexico, essentially rioting over the same thing Americans are, except they're on the side of mass deportations, as their version of Antifa appears to wear German symbols.
Damn.
Destroying restaurants while customers cower in fear on the inside.
Holy crap. Wait, so why are they rioting?
And just like all riots, they eventually turn to looting.
Wait, this is the same guy. It's the same guy.
All riots, they eventually turn to looting.
Fucking hell.
And
These opportunist fucks. I fucking hate these people. They're like the worst.
But mostly peaceful marches. Now the AP did interview some of these activists
sus precios y desplazar a los mexicanos.
that roughly
Wait, what? Wait, what? Holy fuck. God, the world is a circus, bro. The world is an absolute fucking circus.
anger over foreigners importing their culture, concerned over gentrification and being colonized. Now a lot of their graffiti was profanity and
This is crazy. What a decade, man. What a decade. Like this I'm gonna run out of things to laugh about. Like guys, I feel like I'm gonna be desensitized, and like soon nothing will make me laugh, because like everything is so funny nowadays that like what am I gonna do? Like my standard for comedy is gonna be like way too high like soon, you know?
right threats towards Americans, but others carried signs saying, pay taxes, learn the local language, respect our culture, and this is not your home. It's almost like they want the same exact thing the American far right wants, but for Mexico, as it shouldn't be controversial to request foreigners that want to take residence in the country to learn the local language, where there's massive pushback to force American truckers to learn English, as when driving a semi, reading street signs is kind of important, where we've recently seen places like Japan use language as almost a barrier against foreigners. But then again, Japan has zero chill when it comes to this sort of thing. The point being, it's just interesting how at the same time we're seeing anti-ICE riots over deportations to Mexico, Mexico is seeing pro-deportation riots over immigration from the US. Ironically angry over the same exact thing over completely opposite reasons, as the mass importation of cheap labor depresses wages and increases housing costs, while the importation of wealthy residents causes inflation and increases housing costs. Meanwhile, the only people profiting from these crisis side, I don't know. It's just the wealthy elites that benefit from the disintegration of the middle class. As when you look more into this story, Mexico News Daily covered the protest, stating they're against the American gentrification, how they're not expatriates, they're invaders, citing the lockdowns in America that caused mass migration into their cities, as a laptop class enjoyed the cheap cost of living while collecting their American salary, raising the cost of living for Mexicans, pushing them out of the city, as they even covered this exact situation.
This isn't even the same argument, though. This isn't even the same argument, because okay, hold on. So this might seem like the same thing to you, but let me explain how it's not. Okay, you have a person, right? A single person, or even a handful of them. Who cares? Whatever you want. You have them, and they have lots of money. And they come into they come into your country, and they spend lots of money. They basically generate money, and then I guess like you could tax them. If that's like the problem, then you should tax them. But like even then, like even without the taxes, they're spending all of their money on lavish luxuries, high cost things in your country, and they're, you know, who gets that money? It's the people that live there. That's like not even the same thing as as having a bunch of like low skilled workers like flood the country. It's not even remotely the same
Situation back in 2022, calling it a foreign invasion. Interesting how this was around the same time at the Mexican border coming into the US, but our media refused to refer to it as an invasion. As I don't
Holy shit, it's like fucking World War Z. That's like some World War Z shit, dude.
don't think a single person in America would call Mexico racist for pointing out the economic issues immigration can cause. It's just interesting to see the American mainstream media try to cover these mirror image movements, as the New York Times can kinda cover this objectively, where they default back into the protest was initially peaceful, finally admitting how it turned violent, according to the Associated Press.
So hold on. So the argument is that, okay, the argument is that the rich people move to like a city in Mexico. They have lots of money. They spend lots of money. But because they spend lots of money, there's more of a demand for like luxury goods in the area. So the area starts to, I guess, have more like luxurious like stuff because it caters to the rich people, right? And because of that, the land becomes more expensive in the area. It's higher in demand because there's like a lot of money to be made in that area. And so then people's like, I guess people that are renting gets pushed out. I mean, that makes sense. I can see them being mad about it. This is why renting is a scam, by the way, because you wouldn't feel bad about it if you weren't renting. Let me explain. So like if like you lived in a poor area, right? You lived in a poor area and you own a house, right? And then a rich person comes in and gentrifies the area. Now you're rich because now the land that you have is worth a lot because you own it. And now you can sell it for like a fuck ton of money. It's only the people that are renting that get fucked. And I definitely think that's a problem. And I definitely think that's why like home ownership should be pushed more. And I think like education on like how to get to there should be like better. But this wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that people were renting.
But then reporting the groups were angry over American imperialism, as a surge of Americans helps businesses and landlords, but makes it unaffordable to locals who only average to make $370 a month. It's almost like Mexico really wishes they had a Trump, or at the very least, a J.D. Vance.
We're done importing foreign labor. We're going to fight for American citizens and their good jobs and their good wages.
Yawgmoth!
As that's exactly what every citizen...
Most people in certain parts of Mexico only rent, though. Owning property is for rich people. Yeah, well, there's the problem. Do you see what I mean? Like, the rich people spending their money in a specific area is not the problem. Like, economically. Economically, it's a boon. To have surplus, to have a, like, an incoming surplus is always better, basically. Right? That's my point.
Hear from their leader in every...
That's my point. Is like somebody that is making a lot of money, that is spending a lot of money in an area is like almost always a good thing.
Country. It reminds me of all the people watching and cheering on Disney's Black Panther, where essentially T'Challa, an unelected king, uses brute force and power to push the same exact ideals as America first. And although they're not the same exact thing, it's crazy how all these people claim to hate Trump or the MAGA movement.
Sketch Therapy Life says they're not rich by our standards. They go to Mexico because Cali is too expensive. Yes. That probably is another thing, is that like California, you know, I was thinking about this the other day, guys. Like, would you guys think, like, what do you think is like, do you think, sorry, what I'm trying to say is, do you think like here's my conspiracy theory, right? Like, what if California is trying to like overinflate like minimum wage and stuff like that so that they specifically have more money? They have more purchasing power elsewhere, not in California. So it's like purposely for them to inflate like the cost of housing in California so that they make a ton of money, and then they can, and then, you know, that's going to be useless in America. Like not America. It's going to be useless in California for like living conditions, right? Because of cost of living in the area, but then they just spend it elsewhere. So they're getting like California wages, California inflated wages, and then using it in other places in America. What do you think, chat? What do you think of my conspiracy theory?
But if you paint those same ideals on Mexico or a Marvel superhero, they're suddenly cheering it on. Because they don't despise this mentality, they've just been brainwashed to hate America. As just yesterday, we covered how the US is doing what other countries...
Right, because I mean, if you think about it, that's what I did, right? Isn't that literally what I did? Not nefariously, of course, but isn't that what I did? I sold my house, my smaller house in California. I sold it And then for the half of the price of that smaller house in California, I bought a big house in Texas. I literally did the same thing where I took the California like inflated like housing prices. I converted that to a better place in Texas, right? Yeah.
Dream of. And as what appears to be the US military is now combing the streets of Los Angeles, people are noticing the typical LA traffic has basically disappeared.
Because think about it this way. If your minimum wage is $30, and then everything else is inflated, like to catch up to that $30, right? So your living situation is like really expensive. Like you're making $30, but then you're paying like, I don't know, like $15 for like a gallon of milk or whatever, right? And you can afford $15 for a gallon of milk because you're making inflated minimum wage, right? And then you say, okay, you know what? I'm over it. I'm gonna work remote, right? So let's just assume that you have like a remote job, like you're working, I don't know, like coding or something like that, right? And then so you're coding. You're making like this amount of money. That's like not that much in California. Like it's not really that much money, but it is a lot for a coder. Like if you consider like the national average, right? And then you move to a place that has a lower minimum average income because they've been responsible with their finances. Then you move into there. Now you're making your inflated California wage, like working remotely, and now you're rich, right? Like for instance, like me right now as a streamer, right? If I lived in California, I'd be way poorer than I would be if I was in Texas, right? Does that make sense? Right, because if say I lived in San Francisco, I live like right in the middle of San Francisco. The amount of money that I'm making from streaming is the same. It's the same if I lived in San Francisco. It's the same if I lived in Texas, right? So if I'm living in San Francisco where everything is inflated, then I don't make that much money comparatively. But then if I do move to Texas where everything isn't inflated, then I'm rich. Right? It's the same with Mexico. Like you can go even more crazy and say like, oh yeah, what if I lived in the middle of Mexico? I'm still making the same amount of money, but now everything costs a couple pesos, right? Like it's.
But here comes California's saddest sobbing senator to cry over how intimidated he is, and Governor Newsom to pledge his allegiance to the undocumented.
I want folks to know we have your back, and we'll continue to come back and do what we can to protect our diverse communities, to protect the spirit that defines the best of this city and our state, and to push back against this cruelty.
Oh, so mean.
That is being perpetuated by the President of the United States.
I simply can't imagine Mexico, Japan, or any first world country deporting Americans illegally staying in their country, then seeing their politicians telling their citizens, I stand with the people that didn't follow our legal system to stay here. Regardless of any economic hardship it'll cause you, the tax-paying, law-abiding citizen that votes. As they desperately try to paint this as a racial issue,
It's because they want to look like they're good people. I'm so caring, guys. Like, look at me. I'm such a good person. I'm such a good person. Pat me on the head.
Democrats continue to lose support for minorities. Donald Trump still supports legal immigration.
Today you receive one of the most priceless gifts ever granted by human hands. You become a citizen of the United States of America.
Yo, mommy, you jelly? You didn't get this. You didn't get this, mommy. You had Obama.
What an honor. I welcome you into our national family. No matter where you come from, you now share a home and a heritage with some of the most exceptional heroes.
I was born here, okay?
Legends and patriots to ever walk the face of the earth. All of the triumphs and glories of American history now belong to you.
While the left can't help but put out the most mind-numbingly dumb statements.
As far as I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folk and you throwing them out of the country against their civil rights, against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like that is absolute.
Wait, what? What?
Against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like that is absolutely insane. So yes, all I gotta say is y'all need to get these fools out of here. Yes,
Congresswoman, I wouldn't like if some other country cleared out their prisons, and with the support of some other country's NGO, had them shipped to Biden's wide open borders to immediately be granted entry, a debit card, and a free flight to a free hotel, all paid for.
You guys know when like Luffy goes gear 5 and he just can't stop laughing? God, I feel like that right now. I
Or
know
by
how
my
Luffy
tax
feels
dollar.
now.
But again, it's not like the left dislikes this train of thought. They just default to disliking whatever Trump does because of obedience to the Democrats. As why would you think critically about your own personal values when you can just parrot your NPC talking points?
God, it's so tiring. Guys, it's so tiring. I need horse girls. I need horse girl stat.